billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and a very warm welcome to World this morning. I'm your host Hajra Sati and joining me is my wonderful co-host Fahim Bangesh. Assalamu alaikum Fahim.
Walaikum assalam. And Hajra, continuing the tradition, I being a Pathan, I would say Pakhair Ragle as well.
Thank you so much.
Very good morning. That's my signature, as I always say that every day, as you know it.
Thank you so much, Fahim. So my dear viewers, I think most of you don't know, but Fahim is a very senior colleague of mine here, and he has been very gracious, especially mentoring the young buddies who come up here, especially to me, and he has been mentoring, especially when it comes to my pronunciations and whatnot, and especially how to deliver the news and whatnot. So I'm really grateful to put that.
That's very kind of you. That's very kind of you.
Thank you so much for doing that.
So how was your weekend, Hajra?
Alhamdulillah. So on the weekend, the news was around the corner, especially with the Twitter shutdown and how it is affecting so many people out there, especially the Twitter employees who have refused to, acquiesce into very demanding working conditions of the Elon Musk.
But not to forget, so many of them have been fired.
True.
And yes, you're right. There were rumors that it's going to shut down. And yes, like we were discussing previously as well, that this is a platform where people get to give their views, people get to represent, especially the underrepresented segments of the society, the countries, the people who don't get a say anywhere else. That's a great platform for them.
And it is said about the Twitter, especially if a book industry is a walled garden, Twitter is its ladder, because a lot of underrepresented people, they can build an audience on the Twitter. They can post their link of their work on the Twitter. They can build their audience, catch the eyes of the editors, and if their thread goes viral, they might get a book deal, which is a really good deal, especially considering the fact that there's a lot of hegemony even in the book industry, and there's an elite power capture by that. But Twitter offered that sort of platform, an open and represented platform.
Not just the book industry, it's everywhere.
True, that's very true. Hegemony is always there. So I think that the Twitter is a very good platform, and we have so much attachment and emotional attachment to the platform that we really feel a bit off.
Because ever since Twitter was launched, I remember I've been there following people, following different news from around the world, because everybody's there. True. Each and every individual is there.
That's very true. And you can, connect to people, especially who are living across the borders, and it has sort of, shut down the digital divide that was there.
And always get to know different perspectives of different people who are there and talking about different stuff which is going on in the world. So it definitely gives you more perspective, opens up your horizon, broadens it.
True.
So yes, I think that's one platform which should never be shut down.
That's very true. And Twitter is known as the new media, but the television and the radio is called the legacy media, because the audiences, especially the audiences of the 50s and 60s, they're really attached to the TV. So talking about
television, yes, definitely. Today is a very important day, because today is the World Television Day. Do you watch television, Hajra?
Yes.
In today's digital world, would you say that you still watch television?
I do.
And what do you watch on television?
So I watch a program on the TRT called Nexus. It's a very interesting program. So yeah, from 6 to 7, I watch TRT.
Really? Yes. I think I should start it too. What's it about?
So it's mostly about how the social issues, public affairs issues, and it's a very interesting topics that they would come up. So Fahim, World Television Day is being celebrated today across the globe, including Pakistan, to recognize that television plays a major role in presenting different issues that affect the people. On December 7th, 1996, UN General Assembly proclaimed November 21st as World TV Day, to commemorate the date on which first television forum was held earlier that year.
Hajra, I think this day is very important to celebrate, because we live in a world where there's a lot of depression. We live in a world where there's so much going on that we need sort of an escape from reality at times. We need some entertainment. We need something to get us out of the reality. And I think television plays a major role there, not just to keep you at par with what's going on in the world, but also to give you an escape from what's going on in the world.
That's very true. And I think escape parts resonates with a lot of audiences, because this is one of the main purpose, right? So moving on to another top story, where our Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif has a very successful visit at the Sharm el-Sheikh, and he has tweeted that the establishment of loss and damage fund at the UN Climate Summit is the first pivotal steps towards the goal of climate justice. He also added that it is up to the transitional committee to build on the historic development and appreciated Sherry Rahman, who is Minister for Climate Change, and her team for their contribution and hard work.
Because Sherry Rahman spoke really well
True.
as far as the COP27 is concerned. True. She spoke about the harsh realities which are going on as far as climate change is concerned. And a very important issue that was discussed was damage and loss, like you just mentioned.
Right.
And the UN Secretary General has also mentioned that the richer countries will have to contribute towards the countries, the vulnerable countries who are getting affected by the climate change.
So talking about today's segment, Fahim, so we know a lot of people are migrating from global south towards the global north in search of better opportunities, better living standards, and of course for the educational purposes too, right? But we also see that there is a general atmosphere, especially in the Western countries, which is brewing up in the aftermath of the far right, where there's anti-immigration stances, right? And we've seen that there are a lot of problems that the young immigrants who go out in the Western capitals, they find. So in order to have a more elaborating discussion on that, we have a very wonderful studio and the guest, and Fahim and I are really honored that he has graced us with his presence. He happens to be Mr. Waqar Yunus, who is an attorney at law and immigration lawyer. Assalamu alaikum and thank you so much.
Good morning, both of you, Fahim and Hajra.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Good morning to you too. Waqar, we'll have a very nice discussion with you, because we see a very, like you said, growing trend in our country, not just in our country, we see it in the neighboring countries as well, like she said, the global south. Correct. Many people are going, many of my friends have gone, in fact. True. And just yesterday I was talking to one of my friends who was still said that he was still looking for a job, and it's difficult. And we definitely will talk about that in detail as well with you, because that's something that people need to be more aware of before making that decision. What sort of challenges could they be facing when they go abroad?
Yeah, certainly there is a lot of challenges. The first of which say that, because I always characterize the 2 or 3 things when we talk about the new immigrants. Once we talk about the common immigrants, like the guys are not very skilled worker, and they're just like, because if we talk about the Pakistani education system, so we can see that there is one is from Cambridge side and one is very common public school students. I'm not saying that, I'm sorry to discourage that people. But the thing is, when we talk about the immigrants, so we categorize the 2 area of the immigrants. One is the common immigrants, and the one is the skilled worker immigrants. So if we talk about the common immigrants, then if the language barrier is not a greater surprise for the common immigrants. So we have to be very careful with the language barrier whenever you migrate from Pakistan to any Western society, specifically if we talk about the California, America. It's a really very, very big surprise for the language barrier for the common immigrants. But if we talk about the skilled worker, then we need to figure it out which area actually you are going to approach for that, because there is certain categories for your work skilled worker. For example, if we go for work visa, that's called H1 work visa.
True.
So then you need to figure it out which area, either it's IT side or are you going to for the medicine side or the legal side. So I don't think so there is any kind of a language barrier. But even then, we need to figure it out which area you really want to pursue for that. So then your counselor or your consultant would definitely give. My point is, whenever you have a plans to move forward for the Western side, then your homework should be completed. Without the homework, I don't think so you'd be able to. Then you face a lot of challenges. For example, for your job opportunity over there, for the housing, how to rent or housing things. And the most important thing is for the new immigrants how to access healthcare, which is really big challenge for the new immigrants, because you have no idea how to get it, how to reach with the local social worker, because you are very new. True. And the most important thing is your social shock, social culture
we don't
difference.
have those systems over here,
yes,
which are very common there.
Very, very true. So my I would strongly suggest for the new immigrants, whenever you have a plan, please make your homework first. There is a lot of things, except language barrier. You have to study about your social worker. You have to study about your how to build a credit, because you are going to a new era. You are going to a new world. So when you want to enter a new world, then your homework should be very, very comprehensive. Otherwise, it's going to be a lot of problem for you. A lot of problem.
Right. So, Wakasa, we've seen that there's a need to redefine the boundaries, right? We've seen that there's a lot of debate going on, especially the anti-immigration sentiments that are brewing up in the West. And also there are very pro-immigrant sentiments also there. Or, I mean, there are a segment of people there who welcome them with the open ends. But again, how to reclaim back that space where immigrants are not demonized, especially in the Western capitals, and especially people from the global South, or for example, from the Pakistan who are going there. I mean, how to prepare yourself in order to absorb or I mean, protect yourself from the cultural shocks that you're getting there.
Well, as I said earlier, you need to prepare your homework, which area you really want to go, because unfortunately still there, if we talk about the Canada or America, still the people are prejudiced, and of course, unfortunately, after 9/11, there is a lot of other things are happen about your racism or other things. But important thing is you need to figure out first which area actually you're interested, because America or Canada or I'm not talking about the Western, typically for the European country, I'm talking about which actually I belong to in the United States.
Okay.
So if you really want to settle as a newcomer, as a new immigrant, then you need to figure it out which state, which area, and which culture, because
then again, every state has their own laws.
Yes, every state has their own law, and somehow, somewhere, every state have their own local kind of culture as well.
True, subcultures there.
Yeah, so we need to figure it out, because somebody asked me, okay, because
I mean, how can you figure out the subcultures there? When you go there, you live with the people, that's how you interact with them, you come to
when
know
you
about them.
experience it, that's when you're going to know about it.
For example, if there's someone say, okay, I have a plans to, like a small investor, to invest my capital in California.
Okay.
So then you need to study about the California, you need to study about the California culture.
Okay.
You need to study about which is the second language in California, because English is not only official language, there is a Spanish language as well.
Right.
If you want to Canada, then you need to figure it out which is the second official language, that's the French.
Right.
So these are the basic thing. If you already study with your colleague or with the consultant, or with you can do by yourself. So then I don't think that you'll be able to get a very big culture shock over there. And the secondly important thing, because if you really want to go there, obviously you would plan that with your dependents as well, like your kids, your children, and the schooling problem as well.
Exactly. So talking about dependents, because I know people who've gone there with their dependents, and after a couple of years, when they got schooled, when they gelled in that particular atmosphere, in that culture, the parents were not typically happy, because they were like,
True,
obviously.
that's right. Because they are, I mean, inbred in a different culture, in different value system, which is not
the
according
value
to their
system is totally opposite to what ours is.
True.
Because they expect their children still, of course, they want to give them all the good economic opportunities, not to forget, but then they do forget that there's always a price to pay.
Sure, of course, yes, because this is the responsibility of the parents, because if they really wants to get a good opportunity, that's called a land of opportunity, and you're here to get something, then you have to, because the society is so justified that you need to teach your kids, because you are not in a Pakistani culture, you are in a new culture. So again, the same thing I would say, that you have to be like a very homework before you leave the country, before search work, before the study exactly about the culture. That's going to be very tough for you to survive over there.
So we spoke about racism, we spoke about the people being very prejudiced as well. But don't you think now the US has become more diversified, not just the US, but also if we talk about generally the global north, it has become more diversified as far as color, creed, and race is concerned, don't you think so?
Yes, it is.
Because we see Britain, we see a new prime minister who's from an Indian origin.
Of course, yes, it is. But unfortunately, still, if I talk about the Trump regime, so the people actually, they really, the problem for him still there. I don't want to disclose the things that, because this is not a political program, this is a very educational program. So if we talk about the Trump regime, so we observed so many incidents in the Trump regime. So people really pop up over there. It's like a purely like a prejudiced mind, especially in school. I had a bad experience with my kids as well, because I'm not a new immigrant in America, but even then. So now slowly, actually, I understand that the people really adopt it and they're really welcoming the new immigrants, but the prejudice mind still there.
It's still there.
Yeah.
Yes.
So do you have your own share of the cultural shocks there? How did you cope up with that?
Just tolerance.
You can't do much about it, yeah?
Yeah, you need to discuss with the teachers. Actually, if you have school-going kids, you need to discuss with the teachers. It's so kind. So you need to try to teach your kids to try to mix with the two culture, because the problem is being in a desi in America or Canada or any Western country, we just want to just keep our culture everywhere, but we never even mentally prepare that to just try to just adopt the other culture. And this is the win-win position, basically. You can keep your culture as well, but you need to respect other culture as well.
So you kept your arms open for the
Yes,
and embraced all the other cultures.
The basic thing why you are going over there, because you want to improve your financial situation. You want to get the few opportunities, like to grow yourself, to grow your kids for the better future. So then you have to be very flexible to adopt their culture. Yes, of course, this is a new world. You're going to face a lot of challenges over there. So if you want to go there, so then you need to, again and again, maybe this is the 5th time I'm going to use this word, or 5th time. So please do your homework first.
True.
So homework first mean whenever you enter in the United States or in Canada, so the basic thing you need to know that to build your credit. How to build your credit. If you have a zero credit, the first thing you need to understand what is a credit.
Exactly, because credit rating is something really important to the U.S.
To build your credit, if you doesn't have any credit, and if you even think about it, if you never think about your credit, you couldn't be able to get your rental home. You couldn't get your vehicle. You couldn't get your mortgage system. So this is a very new word for you. And this new word is going to be start from to build your credit. This is the first thing. After the language barrier.
And sir, before we move on, for our viewers as well, could you explain a bit in depth what exactly credit and credit rating is? Because you have mentioned it twice or thrice that you have to build the credit, right? So if you could just highlight that.
Yeah, for the new immigrants, I would strongly suggest that once they enter, of course, after you're getting your Social Security and all the official documents, you need to open your checking account first. Once you get your checking account, you need to request your banker, so please issue me secure credit card. That's called a secure credit card. You need to just deposit $300 or $400 in your separate account. Once you have a checking account, and the separate is your credit card account, which is prepaid credit. You need to just deposit $300 to $400, a couple of dollars. You need to deposit it and get your secure credit card. By the time like 4 or 5 months, you would get 200 or 300 points for your credit. That's mean now you are on track, and you are going to build your credit. And after 1 year to 1.5 years, you would get like the requirement is like a 500 to 700 credit score. So once you get that score, then you can think that now I am in the system. So then you apply for your work, because the important thing is you cannot travel every time for the public transportation. You need to buy your car.
True.
So you cannot buy a car if you don't have a credit. Otherwise, you have to pay cash. So if you have a cash, that's fine. You can buy a vehicle at a time.
Right.
But if you are working like a 5,000 grand, 6,000 grand a month, so I don't think so you'll be able to buy a vehicle. So then you need to rebuild your credit. So once you get your secure credit card, by the time you'll be able to build your credit, the second step, then you can buy your housing or renting your housing.
Right.
So this is basically the first step, how to build your credit.
Wonderful.
To get your secure credit card.
Wonderful. So, Fahim, let's talk about the remittances, because we have seen that Pakistani diaspora in the US are one of the influential diaspora, and they're contributing a lot towards their home country, towards Pakistan, in terms of their remittances. And not just that, they're also the broker of the potential diplomatic relations, right? So Pakistani government tries to have good relations with them because they're influential people, especially living in the West. And obviously there are people. So, sir, let's talk about some of the problems that they might face when they're transmitting back their money. And what is the, main contentious point on that?
Well, if you talk about the overseas Pakistani who lives in the United States and wants to wire transfer or some kind of capital to Pakistan, I don't think so any problem from there.
Wonderful.
Yeah, but if we talk about from Pakistan, and if you want to invest yours as a small investor from Pakistan, I don't think so. There is any rules from the FBR if you are able to transfer or wire transfer your $100,000. I don't think so you'll be able to transfer $100,000. We need to discuss about it because so many people has actually contacted me since I'm here. So people are really very interested to invest as a foreign investor in the Western society, which is not good for Pakistan economy for sure.
That's true.
There is going to be the American society or the American economy going to be very welcoming people. Okay, welcome to invest your capital in our country. Yes, but it's a very tough. It's not an easy job from Pakistan to United States. I'm not sure about the Canadian law. I'm not sure about the UK law, but sure I know about the US law. You can transfer from United States to Pakistan. There is no limit at all. You just need to pay your certain amount of bank fee. That's it. But from Pakistan to United States, it's going to be very tough. So we need to talk with the CPA. We call it CPA here. Need to talk with the tax attorney. And this is my disclaimer. I'm not a tax attorney, so we need to talk with the tax attorney as well. Yes, but there are people really thinking about to invest something over there for their future saving.
Wonderful. So now let's talk something about I would call it the roots tourism, because a lot of people, especially who went to the US in 50s or 60s, and when they're coming back, of course, they want to retain their relationship with their roots, with their home country, with Pakistan, and they also want the younger generation or their grandchildren to, retain the context with their home country, with Pakistan. So when they're coming back, what sort of cultural shocks they face coming back to their own society? Can you talk about it?
Or can they even gel back in where they came from?
Yeah, let me give you one example.
Did you felt some?
Yeah, my two nephews actually, they are studying here in medicine. And Alhamdulillah, they are in final years. But 5 years ago, when they came in Pakistan, they said, "Oh wow, mom, we cannot stay here. This problem, there was the culture shock as well. But now they love to live here.
Wonderful.
They really love to live here. And I asked, this is my personal experience. I'm not talking about my clients. And I asked my nephew, and he said, "No, buddy, actually, you know what? I love to continue as a house job after completion my medicine." So yes, there is a little bit cultural shock, but honestly, our society is still very beautiful.
Now, you know, they say that if you have a good financial status in Pakistan, then there's no place like Pakistan.
Of course, yes.
The hospitality, the culture, everything about Pakistan is amazing, because I've lived abroad, and when I got back, I loved it.
I really loved it. Same here.
Now it's become a bit challenging.
I think it's everywhere. Every society has their own problems, and obviously we are not immune to that. But having said so, I think Pakistani culture is beautiful, especially when you go abroad and you don't listen to the voice of azan, and then when you come back and you listen to that, that is you're experiencing that spiritual connection at a very different level.
Exactly.
This thing is, I always miss that, the voice of azan, actually.
Right.
And the street food. How can you not miss the street food?
That's
you're right, but somehow you need to just be careful about the street food as well.
Oh my God, the kind of flavors that are there in the street food, you can't find that in a very posh restaurant.
You cannot find that in a posh restaurant. They're just too good.
That's
Especially you go to Pindi, you go to Lahore, you go to Karachi.
And
Yeah, I'm sorry for the interruption, but I would love to for your traffic as well.
Okay, this is our culture and this is part of, I mean, who we are as a Pakistani. So thank you so much, sir, for coming here, for enlightening us about the challenges and having a very meaningful debate and discussion on the immigration
lovely
challenge.
meeting you. I'm sure our viewers got to learn
I
something from
would
it.
lastly for your viewers, I would strongly suggest one last thing for your viewers. If you guys really thinking about for any country, not in United States, any Western society, you have a plan to move out there for your betterment, please contact with your legal fraternity for your legal advisor, which is very, very important. For all which we discuss about your credit bureau, for your housing, renting, or your healthcare issues as well.
True.
So if you complete all the package before you leave, because the system is really very changed.
So thank you so much, Mr. Bakal, once again for coming to our show and for enlightening us about the immigration culture and the challenges that we face. So we're going on a short break, so don't change your channel. Welcome back, and earlier on we were talking about debates on the immigration culture and the challenges. So Fahim, over the weekend, are you into the sports, into the football?
Not much, but talking about sports, Qatar has done an
Wonderful job.
amazing and wonderful, awesome job. I don't have words for it.
True.
They say it's the most expensive World Cup in the history of FIFA. And I think Qatar has spent billions of dollars in doing so.
Right.
And their opening ceremony, their stadiums, they are just out of this world.
And I loved their opening ceremony because it started with the Quranic verses, and it has a taste of
unprecedented.
Yes, it has a taste of its indigenousness and Islamic culture that the Qatar society is all about, right? And I loved how they opened it. So we have,
you know, they instead of getting or copying different cultures, they've kept their identity alive by doing so, and showed it to the entire world.
That's very true. So Fahim, we have a very amazing package. Why not let's take a look at that?
Let's take a look.
The World Cup kicked off in Qatar. Qatar's Amir Sheikh Tamim Al Hamad Al Tahini arrived at the stadium, flanked by FIFA President Gianni Infantino, to a roaring crowd, and took their seats alongside other Arab leaders, including Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the leader of Saudi Arabia. A show then unfolded on the pitch, featuring American actor Morgan Freeman and a performance of a new tournament song called Dreamers, featuring singer Jungkook of K-pop alongside Qatari singer Fahad Al-Kubaisi.
Am I welcome?
We sent out the call because everyone is welcome. This is an invitation to the whole world.
The soccer tournament is the first held in the Middle East and the most expensive in its history. Is a culmination of Qatar's soft power push after a 3.5 years boycott by Saudi Arabia, Egypt, the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain, which ended in 2021. This World Cup will surely be a wiggle of hope for peace in the Middle East and world over.
So that was an amazing ceremony, and Fahim and I were discussing that we are so amazed by how Qatar has kept intact its own identity into the FIFA World Cup. Right, so Fahim, we've seen that there's how much globalization is going on, especially with those sort of events. And we've also seen that globalization has its own darker face, especially with the COVID pandemics and how the epidemics have rattled the global world orders, and especially it has no boundaries. It travels very rapidly. The transmission rate was really, I mean, something mind-boggling.
2019, 20, 21, they were
That's
really
true.
challenging for the entire world, not just for Pakistan. And especially countries like Pakistan, which which struggle with their healthcare
Right.
systems. I mean, it was very difficult for them to make the ends meet as far as the healthcare is concerned.
That's
Now, to talk about healthcare, we have with us Mr. or rather, should I say, Professor Dr. Umar Awwab Khan. He is Professor Medicine and Director Hospitals, RIFA. So welcome to PTV World, welcome to World this morning, and a very good morning.
Thank you. Good morning to you as well.
Wonderful. Sir, so we have seen that there is this concept which has propped up One Health, which means the health of the humans, health of the animals and health of the environment is all intertwined, it's all interlinked. And can you elaborate? It's important, especially in the times when the climate change is severely impacting how we behave, how we interact, and how does it reflect on the epidemiology?
Yeah, thank you. I think that the world climate is, I think it's a narrow word. The best word is environment, which you used first.
Environment,
Yeah,
yes.
so the environment includes not only the climate, it includes our earth, it includes animals, it includes humans.
True.
It includes diet, from where you are getting this diet.
Even the
It
river
includes your
systems,
body,
yeah.
it includes your external air and everything.
Right.
So I agree with you. The modern urbanization, industrialization, it has affected the health of humans and health of animals and health of crops and vegetables and everything so badly that now we are moving towards a bad, disastrous health status, especially in Pakistan, I think so.
And talking about urbanization, the more there is urbanization, we also see an extreme hike in the population, especially the third world countries. And the more there is the population, the more diseases there are. Because obviously then there are challenges regarding sanitation, there are challenges regarding waterborne diseases. What do you think, being a doctor, what do you think can be done in order to mitigate that, and how can we create more awareness regarding this extreme hike in the population?
Yeah, it's very important, and the most important is that as you are a person of media, mashallah, and I think this media and digitalization, this era of digitalization, it should be used. This tool should be used, and our priorities should be changed. Our priority is not health. Our priority is there is no priority to education, but this is the most important. We have to really focus not only on public level but also on private level on health and education. So we have to create programs, we have to create a wave of awareness about health, because if you are not healthy, if you are not physically healthy, you are not mentally healthy.
True.
So the problem is that you cannot think properly, you cannot work properly, you cannot have a vision. What is deficiency in our especially our country? There is a lack of vision, there is a lack of motivation, there is depression. A whole youth is directionless. Yes, this youth has got no direction. The only direction is that we are here for earning, we are here for education. So these are the consequences of bad mental and physical health.
That's true.
You can see our young generation is sitting on computers, they are playing on computers, they are playing with mobiles. Interestingly, when I was doing the clinical practice, I couldn't imagine that young boys of 17 and 18-year-old, they are coming with backaches, with sciatica, and with joint pains and with muscle pains. So I used to do their vitamin D levels, and all of you know that I think 80 to 90% of our youth has got deficient vitamin D levels.
True.
That's
True.
true.
And on the other hand, when I used to test these old people, so-called old people, which is about 60 or 70-year-old, their vitamin D levels were good. So what was the difference between them? This was only the lifestyle,
That's
the exposure to sun, their diets, their pure diets rather, I would say, their level of exercise. So if we want to have a healthy Pakistan or a good Pakistan, a developing Pakistan, we need to concentrate on health, especially on our youth. 60% youth. Our population is 60% of population is youth now.
That's true. That's true. And also, a very sad and disappointing fact is that Pakistan is just, I think, in the entire world, there are just one or two countries which still have polio.
That's true.
Pakistan and Afghanistan, I think. And I think Afghanistan has gone out of it, but Pakistan still has cases of polio being reported. How can we make those people more aware which still do not immunize their children regarding polio?
I think we should use not only media, not only doctors, but we should also use religious people in this. I think so. Because there are, frankly speaking, there are some misconceptions about polio vaccination, which I don't find any of evidence. I also believe in religion. I practice religion in depth as well. But I don't think so that the main problem is there is some confusion created about polio vaccination.
Because I do belong to the frontier province, the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and I do know people who have said that this is a campaign by the West which is going to make our children sterile.
I don't know any medication till now. Maybe I am having scarce knowledge, but I don't know any medicine which can affect you in future about your fertility. I don't know.
I've had polio vaccination.
Yes, I know that. I know
have
that.
a son.
Look. I know why West is interested in polio, because you see diseases come and go, but polio doesn't go. Smallpox doesn't go. You know. These are two
epidemics.
not only epidemics. These you can experience it, that they destroy the life of a person.
True.
They change the pattern of the life of a person.
Right.
So that's why they are interested. Number two, if they are interested in Pakistan and Afghanistan, that now the traveling is such common that you can transmit a virus from here to there very easily.
Exactly.
They want to save their population. So I don't think so there is any truth in that. And if there is some confusion, we can do a research, both religiously and both medical people. They can join together and do a research. But I know that I have asked some good religious doctors, and pediatric doctors, and they said there is nothing like that.
That's very true. And Fahim, thank you so much for pointing out such an important fact about the misinformation and disinformation and how it interacts with the pandemics or these diseases. And we've seen that how it has played, especially in the face of the COVID-19, because there was so much misinformation, disinformation, and there was a general
Yes, even with the
panic.
COVID vaccines.
Exactly. In general panic that was there in the populations. So Dr. Saab, how do you see the intersection of the misinformation, disinformation, and these epidemics and public health care? Your comments on that?
Well, if you will allow me to say some words in Urdu, I would be...
Sure,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Please go ahead.
वो एक सऊदी आया, यहाँ पे एक लतीफ़ा सुनाता हूँ. सऊदी आया एक, और उसने आके जब वापस गया तो पाकिस्तानियों ने पूछा, लोगों ने पूछा कैसा है पाकिस्तान? उन्होंने कहा वल्लाहु आलम, कुल्लू मुफ्तियान व कुल्लू डॉक्टरान. पूरी नेशन डॉक्टर है और पूरी नेशन मुफ्ती है, और दो चीज़ें हमारे लिए इंपॉर्टेंट है, एक दुनिया और दीन, और दोनों में हम खुद ही रिसर्च करते हैं, खुद ही फैसले करते हैं. वी डोंट गो टू द कंसल्टेंट्स व्हेन वी कंस्ट्रक्ट अ हाउस. Where do we go? We go to a builder, we go to a architect. We don't go to a electrical engineer that you build my home.
True.
But in cases of our health, in cases of our deen, we go to everywhere, and we believe everybody. ये नमाज कैसे पढ़नी है, ऐसे पढ़ ले, ऐसे पढ़ ली. ये दवाई कौन सी खानी है, मुझे बड़ा फायदा दिया था, तुम भी ये दवाई खा लो, चलो जी खा लो. And that's why we are destroyed in everywhere. So there are so much rumors and so much disinformation about these vaccines and these other things.
Right.
I don't believe in them, and we should not believe in them.
Thank you so much for clarifying that. And Fahim, it is said that it takes a village to raise a child, right? And it shows that how much community is involved in raising a child or making our habits, and especially that affects our physical health or mental health and other aspects of our health, right? So Dr. Saab, talking about this aspect of that, the community building, and you mentioned that how there's a lack of mobility nowadays, because I mean, we are so prone to using the vehicles, and we are not walking enough, and that is why we've seen that there's a rise in so much diseases, like you mentioned, the deficiency of vitamin D and whatnot. So how are these habits affecting, and what is a good or general lifestyle that we can adopt in order to have a more healthier lifestyle?
Look, diseases have two main you can say types. One is communicable diseases and one is non-communicable diseases, NCDs, which are known as NCDs.
True.
Communicable diseases, you know, these viral infections and bacterial and these fungal infections which can be communicated through so many routes. And you can see that most of them are treatable, curable. They are curable, most of them. Some are not curable, but most of them are either curable or they go by themselves. But non-communicable diseases like diabetes, hypertension, ischemic heart disease, obesity, cancers, I will put cancers in them as well, they don't go. Liver diseases, kidney disease, they don't go. You are only treating them, you cannot cure them. Now about 60 to 70% of the healthcare burden all over the world is about these communicable diseases. And these communicable diseases, they are mostly related to our, which word you used, rightly so, environment.
Right.
With lifestyle, with immobility. From where does diabetes come? From where does hypertension come? Due to immobility.
True.
You can see.
Also, we shouldn't be forgetting stress, because hypertension and diabetes, because what I've heard, I might be wrong because my scarce knowledge, stress-induced diabetes, I've heard that term, and stress-induced hypertension, do you think that exists?
Yes, that exists, but वो ऐसे ही है जैसे एक जगह पे एक छोटी सी लकीर हो, आप उस पर रख दें तो क्रैक हो जाएगी ना. So there are certain other factors which are already present them, and when you put a pressure of a stress on that breaks.
True.
But there are other factors which is our diet, which is our lifestyle, which is our lack of exercises, which is our environment, everything. Then stress comes and we say, oh, stress has done. No,
True.
So we don't want to walk.
True.
We don't want to walk. मैं अपनी मिसेस से कह रहा था गाड़ी उधर खड़ी कर दो, मतलब बिल्कुल दरवाजे के साथ जाके खड़ी करो ताकि मुझे चलना ना पड़े, ये कोई हो जाए. हमारा ये हाल है, लिफ्ट लगी हुई है, there are stairs, we prefer lifts.
True.
So that's the main reason we are getting older at a young age. That's so
Very
disastrous.
true. That's so true. Older at a younger age.
At a
I can
younger
so
age.
relate to that.
That's like that, and we are not caring at all. We are not, and especially our women. Especially our women. They don't, pardon, I hope that nobody will mind it, but our women, they don't work in the homes. They have servants, they have everything.
That's very
And
true.
they are getting a worse health as compared to a man. मेरे पास OPD में 35-40 की ख़वातीन आती हैं, मोटी obese भी होती हैं, जिस्म में pains, इधर pains. What is the reason? Only lack of activity. आप parks में देखें, how many people are walking? If you go to a foreign country and you open your window of a hotel, you will see that people are jogging, they are having bicycles going on, and they are so fit people.
And you've observed, especially for him, that you have the opportunity to live abroad, that how much there is a culture of walking there, especially they're using the metros and subways there, and they're wearing the joggers or sneakers, and they're constantly walking. So their walking rate is really high as compared to Pakistan, because
and you know, nobody minds using public transport
That's
as
true.
opposed to in Pakistan.
As opposed to in Pakistan.
Because I usually take a public transport and I don't really feel embarrassed by it because I get to walk.
yes, and London's traffic is really crazy, so it's better to take the the metros
The
and the public
metros.
transport. So coming back to our topic of the public health care, so how do you see the epidemiology interacting with the environment, with the climate change? Especially the climate change is triggering a lot of diseases which we haven't seen before. For example, COVID is one example. I think we have put so much strain on Earth's resources, especially it is said that its origin is from bats. I don't know if it's true or not. But then again, I mean, the way our consumption habits are going on for him, we are unable to differentiate between our wants and needs, and that is why we are seeing that there is
True.
a very unhealthy trend going on. So Dr. Saab, what do you have to say, and how does the artificial intelligence and machine automation will impact the public health care?
Yes, it's very important now. As I said before, the culture of urbanization and industrialization, it has destroyed our environment. You can see Lahore is, I think, the second most polluted city in the world.
Right.
Karachi was the third share probably.
Right.
So can you imagine what is circulating in our air?
True.
So we are inhaling that. We are eating that. Our water, you know the pollution, so we are drinking that.
True.
So from where health will come?
That's
So
true.
this, I think, urbanization, industrialization, this motorization, I would say, or what I should say, this these use of vehicles, too much vehicles and polluted vehicles, I would say.
Right.
So I believe in Allah, and I believe in Allah so much now that despite these things, if we are alive, He has created a very strong body.
That's very
This
true.
is so matlab, heavy. If you go out on a bike in Lahore,
Right.
come back and wash your face, you will find out how much dust you have
True.
carried.
Even though if you're wearing some white clothes, you will feel how much soiled they are
Soiled.
because of the
Yes.
pollution and because of the dust in the
We have
environment.
to think
right?
about that. We
Right.
have to do something at government level, at private sector level, at social media, at electronic media, at every media. We have to do that. If we will not do it, what we are doing, we are importing their culture, Western culture, and every bad thing of Western culture we are importing. Fast foods, their diseases and everything. But any good thing we are not.
That's true.
Like exercise, like other things, and they are reverting back towards nature, and we are running away from nature.
That's very true. And I also feel, Fahim, that the binge watching and I mean junk eating, all of these things create a lifestyle which is very unhealthy. And thank you so much, Dr. Saab, for enlightening us about
Quite
this.
unhealthy, and I would
Right.
say they're addictions, and that's a whole new topic that we would require a lot of time for. But I'm really disappointed that that's all the time we have right now. But it was amazing. All the discussions that we had today, I'm sure all of you got enlightened as well. Dr. Saab, thank you very much for being with us, and thank you very much for giving us your time, your precious time. I'm sure being a doctor, being a professor, it's difficult for you to take out time, but thank you very much.
Thanks. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And that's all that we have got for now. So until next time, it's a good boy and good morning.
Good morning. See you tomorrow.